Hi. This evening, a spotlight on Pakistan as it struggles to keep its head up during the worst ever floods in its history. One third of Pakistan's land is underwater after 3 months of a monster monsoon, which is not over yet. More than half of its 160 districts have been declared calamity hit. 33 million people have been displaced or affected in some way. That's one in every seven Pakistanis. This is climate change on steroids and a sign of what's to come for not just Pakistan, but all of us. Before we jump into why exactly Pakistan's monster monsoon triggered these super floods, there is a larger context to bear in mind. Climate change. It's caused by global warming and results in droughts, floods, and other extreme weather events. I'm sure you know this. I recommend checking out Net Earth, a series dedicated to all things climate change. Pakistan is exceptionally vulnerable to climate change because it's heating faster than most other parts of the world. Between 1986 and 2015, temperatures in Pakistan rose by zero point 0.3 degrees centigrade per decade, much higher than the global average. It is among the 10 countries most affected by climate related catastrophes in the world between 2000 and 2019. During this period, it witnessed 173 extreme weather events. All this to say, Pakistan has always been exceptionally vulnerable to climate led catastrophes, and it's worsening. Researchers say this catastrophe probably started with record breaking heat waves in April and May. Temperatures touched 40 degrees for prolonged periods in many places. One day in May, Jacobabad in Pakistan touched 51 degrees Celsius to become the hottest place on earth. How does this link to floods? Global heating is making the South Asian monsoon more intense and more erratic since warmer air holds more moisture. Much earlier this year, experts warned that an overheated Pakistan would probably receive above normal levels of rain from July to the end of September. Intense heat also rapidly melted glaciers in the northern mountains. Pakistan has the highest number of glaciers in the world, apart from the polar ice caps. So, even before the rains hit, several glacial lakes had burst through the dams of ice that normally restrain them. The amount of water flowing into tributaries that form Indus, Pakistan's largest river, increased, and a majority of Pakistan's population lives along the Indus. Besides heat waves, another event responsible for Pakistan's situation today, a depression or a system of intense low air pressure in the Arabian Sea. This brought heavy rain to Pakistan's coastal provinces, which don't usually see large scale depression systems as early as June. The result? Early, unprecedented downpour. Once on land, much of the water has nowhere to go, leaving Pakistan entirely in the red. Homes, roads, bridges, crops, livestock, and entire schools have been washed away. But let's be clear, climate change is not the only reason why Pakistan is battered today. There is consensus that poor political, economic, and urban planning has exacerbated the situation. First, recurrent deforestation, loosening the soil and removing all natural barriers for the water. Second, encroachment on waterways, especially on the banks and shoulders of rivers. There is a reason for this. Waterways or banks of rivers are legal Shamilat-de or village community land in Pakistan. People have the right to use these lands and develop them without considering the big picture impact on ecology and others around them. Experts call this unsolved and famous economic/development problem a tragedy of the commons. The result? Clogged passages of monsoon waters, not unlike what we're seeing on a much smaller scale in Bangalore. Pakistan has also seen large-scale, unregulated urban development with millions living in unplanned, overdeveloped flood zones without adequate drainage infrastructure. Environmentalists explain that now the monsoon waters or flood waters are simply reclaiming their right of way no matter who or what is in the way. What came after the floods? Poor, non-transparent disaster management. Many Pakistanis say they don't know where all the international relief coming in is being distributed and how. There has been a lack of an effective early warning system for floods, which could have saved hundreds of lives. Rescue and relief ops have been hampered by Pakistan's ongoing economic crisis with an inflation rate of 27% for August. The Pakistani rupee has crashed. The International Monetary Fund has stepped in with a $1.1 billion bailout. And while we're on the topic of money, Pakistan estimates it may cost at least $12.5 billion to rebuild. It is thinking of seeking reparations from rich, polluting countries at UN's COP27 climate talks in Egypt in November. FYI, Pakistan contributes less than 1% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions, but is clearly receiving more than its due share of climate change effects. Then there's the fact that natural disasters in general are terrible for fragile governments, and Pakistan is right up there on this list. Just months ago, a showdown involving the government, the military, and ex-Prime Minister Imran Khan now threatens to complicate the task of responding to the disaster and rebuilding. When India's Prime Minister Modi tweeted out his concerns and condolences, Pakistan's Prime Minister shot back with a whole rant on how aid from India was out of the question till the Kashmir issue was resolved. That's politics, at the wrong time and place and for all the wrong reasons. One more thing. Pakistan's floods are not just Pakistan's problems. It produces 5% of global cotton, 2.5% of wheat. It also accounts for 9% of global rice exports. Today, several thousand square kilometers of agricultural land is submerged. This will have major impacts for global agricultural markets, and it cannot be seen in isolation considering all that's happening in the world. The WHO has also warned of significant health threats in crowded relief camps. Over a dozen polio cases have already been confirmed. These are headlines which should make us all sit up. As UN Secretary General said, today it is Pakistan and tomorrow it could be your country. I'll stop here for today. I recommend you check out our Net Earth series to understand why Pakistan's floods are just the tip of the iceberg and what we can do to slow down climate change. If you found value in this video or in any of our other work, do consider showing your support via the Super Thanks feature on YouTube, which is right below the video, or Razorpay, the link to which can be found on both Instagram and YouTube. Please contribute whatever amount you deem fit and are able to, and we'll make sure we put it to good use while doing journalism worth your intelligence and time. If you've been listening, thank you.